Soldiers of Shoot. Soldiers of Shoot.
Ten hot! At attention, you puke, you scum, you maggot!
Soldiers of Shoot are back. Day 2 and another video. Welcome in. I'm Hollywood Edwards. This is the Soldiers of Shoot. With me is, as you just heard, General Stames. What's up, General? How you feeling tonight?
Feeling good. Feeling very good. We got an action-packed show.
Very packed. I think we brought in the heavy artillery for this attack.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that. On the other side over there, the Electric City Saint. Saint, what's going on?
Not too much, bro. I'm really excited for tonight. We're fresh off the heels of our debut recording, and quite frankly, I'm ready to unleash some more ammunition tonight.
Nice. Buying into the gimmick. Love it. And with that said, we got to introduce officially the 4th member of Soldiers of Shoot. Captain of Swag, AC joins the Soldiers. Let's welcome him in. Let's give him the round of applause, everybody. Captain, take over. What are you looking forward to on this channel? Why are you a member of the Soldiers of Shoot?
What I want is for you out of shape, fat, little Fortnite playing WWE fanboy sweat hogs to sit in your mom's basement, turn up so you can hear what a real man sounds like.
Ooh.
And we're going to get into it. You know I love you guys. What's up, baby? I'm so happy to be here. Soldiers of Shoot. This is kind of like my alter ego. This is not Daddy Cool AC. This is the Captain of Swag. We're going to get into all things wrestling only. We're going to lay some knowledge on you. And I got to say, if you're laying in the cab of your truck, half naked, rolling around, dreaming of tales of greatness of Vince McMahon, you might want to open your ears because I'm going to spread some knowledge into that little noodle you got over there. And you know who I'm talking about. We don't need to name names. But for real, I'm ready. Let's get into it, baby. I'm happy to be here with you guys. I love this. I love this team. I love being a soldier of Shoot. And let's be honest, I've been hashtagging a lot of things, but a hashtag today, this is just the beginning. Mm-hmm. And real talk, this is just the beginning. Based on the fact that there's a lot going on in the wrestling business. And I think, honestly, we're here to just keep it real, keep it honest, break it down the way we see it. You may agree, you may disagree. I'm definitely going to insult you if you're a fanboy in your mom's basement, so be ready for it, but you kind of knew that anyway.
Like I said, the heavy artillery has arrived. Here we go.
I mean, let's not ease into it, right? Let's just
right.
Guns a-blazing.
Guns blazing, pal.
Hell yeah, brother. That's the best way to go about doing it.
Let's start here. Gonna throw something at you. We ended the show yesterday with a big tease. I'll say it again, and I'm gonna pass it to you, General Stames, because I think you quickly agreed. You said it's, probable. NXT coming off the Rumble. I had the thought. Shining a light on NXT, the developmental. Is it ruining the actual development of these guys for several reasons? Stames, pick it up. You didn't get to say much yesterday when I mentioned it. Why would you agree with that statement? Why would you make the case for it?
Well, I just taking a look at some of the guys that they've had in NXT and then they come up to WWE, there's been a whole lot of failures. And if we dug into the names of the guys from NXT that quote unquote made it in the WWE, I'll bet you we'd find a lot of those guys were actually already established in the indies. If you take the guys that NXT themselves took and bred, cut their teeth in NXT, and then got passed up to the WWE, I think we'd see a very high percentage of failure. We just saw the other day, I guess it was on Raw, there was a little vignette there with Mojo Riley, right? I mean, I don't know. I guess he's some crazy guy that talks to himself in the mirror now. I mean, what the hell happened? That guy was on the biggest show of the year with Rob Gronkowski, and he failed. Think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
See, this is the point I'm trying to make. The way they're doing this, they're going to repackage Mojo now. Is it too late to do that because we already know from his NXT days that he's Mojo? Okay, so this is what I'm going for here, just as a brief introduction to this conversation. Let me kick it over to the Electric City Saint.
I agree with that quite a bit, and I feel like anytime they've brought in a lot of these guys from the indies into NXT, it seems like right away off the bat they really watered down a lot of what they were doing on the indie scenes. I mean, we talked about Dean Ambrose last night. When he was John Moxley on the indies, bro, he was, if you think Ambrose is crazy, bro, you haven't seen him as John Moxley. That's on a whole totally different other level of like crazy of all the insane death matches and everything else he did. And it seems like as soon as they bring these guys into NXT, instantly I wouldn't say, I don't know, it seems like they even tell the guys, like, I don't know, like, to water yourself down a little bit and tone it down a bit. And that's what they shouldn't be doing. They should be doing the opposite and telling these guys to really ramp everything up to 100 and, and really make yourself appear larger than life. And I think right now, like you look at the roster, they don't have a whole lot of people that have that larger than life appeal to them.
Captain. I've been waiting for this. Captain of Swag AC, give me your thoughts, just generally, and we'll pick it apart. We'll get into it. We'll sink our teeth into this. What do you think?
Right. I think there's a lot of levels to this conversation. I got to be honest. I don't think it's one singular problem. I don't think it's they watered down Ambrose or Moxley. I don't think it's that what they've done with Nakamura is just castration. You know what I mean? It's just he's not the same guy. But I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think at the end of the day, it's apples and oranges. What Nakamura did in New Japan compared to what he needs to do in WWE are two very different things. And I don't think they've ever found a happy medium with that. I also think they're giving guys in NXT a lot of freedom with their character. And I honestly, and this is something that, I'm sure we're going to get into AEW conversation. This is something that they're preaching with AEW. If you listen to Jericho, if you listen to Cody, if you listen to the Bucks, they're all talking about letting guys be creative. And I think one of the things they do very well in NXT is let the guys be creative. They also have a lot smaller window of time to fill, a lot shorter time to tell a story, which probably makes it easier. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the main roster, but I think when they get there, you get a micromanaged, watered down version of what you saw on NXT. Is it the talent's fault? I don't know. Is it the people in charge's fault? The creative? Yes, on a major level. But I also think you're asking guys to do something very different that they're not used to. And you've now gave them a pedestal to put themselves on with the takeovers, with the NXT. If the NXT was Ohio Valley, we never saw John Cena was in Ohio Valley.
Right.
We didn't see Randy Orton when he was in Ohio Valley. We didn't know who they were. We didn't know their character. We didn't know how they got from A, B to C. We got them when they were F, E, or F, or M or O. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were beyond that. And then they added to who they were when they came on. Now you're getting a very raw version of guys who are not only known for NXT, but they're also very well known on the indies, also on Ring of Honor, some even on New Japan and TNA. And it's just like, wait a minute. Yo, I saw, like right now, Adam Cole, let's just use him for an example. We know Adam Cole. People have seen him on the indies. They've seen him, obviously, in ROH, New Japan a little bit. Now you see him doing all these great things on NXT. And you know what? Adam Cole's probably the next Steen, the next Owens, the guy that probably has enough charisma, probably can find a way to make it. But if you bring along, the rest of the team, if you bring along the Bobby Fishes, the Kyle O'Reillys, and the Roddy Strongs of the world, and I'm not disparaging them. You guys know I love them. I love those guys from ROH. I love what they're doing in NXT. But if you put those guys on TV every week, is there any level to the character they're playing? Is there even a character they're playing? Or are they just a wrestler?
That's the thing. That's the thing that I want to get really into, because we know who Adam Cole is, right? But because of NXT, we know that he's not getting the character change. We know he's keeping his name. So if Vince brings the 4 of those guys up, and then he takes a look at them for a month and goes, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. This one should be over here with this name and this gimmick, and this one shouldn't even be with this guy. In Vince's opinion, is it too late now? Like, are things ruined for those guys because we know who they are?
Really quick, not to cut you off, but really quick. On Sunday, I watched the Royal Rumble with a group of guys, my fantasy football league. We watched it together. And I was kind of taken back because they were all like, dude, I'm sick of AJ. It's the same fucking AJ all the time. He flips his hair back, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he has the same match. He does the same moves every time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, like, is this the AJ that, the three of us sat in an arena in South Philly and watched AJ versus Jay Lethal. Not that, I mean, I know it was a couple years ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
When AJ Styles was the hottest guy in wrestling, the hottest prospect, and then he goes and has a 5-star match with Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom a month later, not even a couple weeks later, and AJ's the man. And now 3 years later, whatever it is, he's in WWE, and the WWE fans are like, dude, like, it's the same guy over and over and over. You know what? When you see AJ Styles every single week, he's very ordinary. There's not a lot of levels to his character. Why do I love what Daniel Bryan is doing right now? The Daniel Bryan that's being Mr. Vegan and Mr. I mean, let's face it, he's half a socialist at this point. I'm digging it. No, but
I know. Go ahead,
bro. But bro, I'm digging it because I'm thinking of Daniel Bryan 4 years ago when he was the underdog. One of the most over things, one of the most white hot things I've ever, probably the most white hot guy since Goldberg, or maybe The Rock and Stone Cold in wrestling. Like you're talking like top 5 white hot runs in wrestling, even though it was a short term. I'm talking short term run. Goldberg's run was short term. You know what I'm saying? Even Austin's run to an extent was short term. You know what I mean? That dude was white hot as the underdog story. And now you got him as heel Daniel Bryan with the vegan and the not eating the hot dogs and not putting plastic in the ocean and all that shit. And listen, I dig it as a heel gimmick, and there's a level to Daniel Bryan's character that you can invest in. Give me the level of Knox's character or Finn's character or AJ's character. They don't develop characters. Is Daniel Bryan getting some kind of leeway? I don't know. But here's the problem. The majority of these guys don't really have a character. So when you see them every week, it gets very repetitive and ordinary. And that's all I'm saying. I have some ideas about that, but I want you guys to take over and we can get into that after.
All right, General Stames, he said something very important there, the word develop. Character develop the layers, all right? Does this go to the point about NXT? Because shouldn't they be working out that character? And in the captain's defense here, if Daniel Bryan is white hot as the underdog, how did you let that slip through your hands? Why are you repackaging? You shouldn't have to repackage him at this point.
Well, and there's a problem right there with the character stuff, developing the character, because it just seems that if you look at most of these guys, if you watch Raw on Monday night, the main storyline that goes throughout that show is I'm a badass wrestler and I'm going to wrestle you and I'm going to beat you. That's the story.
Seth
To
Rollins.
80% of the matches. It's just, it's bullshit. Now, the Daniel Bryan thing, the guy was white hot before. We talked about this the other night. What do they do when a guy gets white hot? They push him back down. Why? Because nobody's bigger than the company. And now Daniel Bryan found something else and he's getting white hot again. You watch, you mark my words. If he gets too hot, they will push him back down.
Like
And
Becky
I'll
Lynch
say-
tapping? Like Becky Lynch tapping?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll say this about AJ too. Your buddy's saying that he's boring, he does the same shit. Dude, that, again, I think that is a WWE thing. For years, we heard about John Cena and the 5 moves of doom. If you watch WWE programming, every one of those guys has their 5 moves of doom, and they will do those moves in every single match. I guarantee it. If you watch, you will find the 5 moves and they will perform those moves in every single match. You know why you're getting bored with AJ Styles? Because you feel like he's doing the same things every match? Because they have him doing the same things every match. That's the WWE.
No character, bro. It's no character.
No
dude.
character, no stories.
There's no. It's every person that challenges Brock is, even though they look different, is the same guy.
Right. Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
Heyman comes out, says the same thing. They sell the same story, and it's over and over. It's repetitive. You know what I mean? There's no levels to the storytelling. There's no levels to the characters. I think there is creative people out there. They're just not allowed to be creative.
You know what I need right now? I need some electricity. Electric City Saint, jump in. That was me. That was me trying to be funny. Sorry. Go ahead.
Going back to what AC said earlier, like, it's funny that people complain about how like boring it is, and it's weird that it's like that, because, bro, you realize they have over 100 guys between all the brands. They have 100 or over 100 people signed to their roster. So like, it's crazy to me that they have all these different guys, but yet the product is still boring. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that they have so many like talented people and they aren't using them right. And I think a lot of that is more of a WWE problem than it is, the performers problem. But I do admit that, some of them guys too, it is partially on them, because it does seem like a lot of them don't step up or anything. I mean, recently we've had Daniel Bryan really step it up, and I think his new character is excellent. It's definitely, I think it's him like ramped up to like 100 basically. And it's the same thing with Becky Lynch. But other than that, like, other than them two, like, who has really stepped up within the last few months? There really isn't anybody if you think about it.
Yeah, the weird thing too is, and Captain, you said it, maybe Daniel Bryan has some kind of panache that he can, do that. But like Saint said, it's an extension of his self. So shouldn't everybody have that panache to be themselves and turn it up to 100? I think that's why it's working for Bryan.
And that's true. That's absolutely true, Hollywood. But how do you do that when they stick you in a gimmick like Stardust? When Vince McMahon tells you who you're going to be, how do you do that?
Micromanaging.
Well, that's the problem. I mean,
you would love it to be an extension. Look, Dashing Cody Rhodes was probably an extension of Cody Rhodes.
Right.
And that's probably why it was so magnificent and why it worked so well. But what does he do? I had a dream last night and I came up with this character in my mind. Stardust. Can you see it? Stardust.
Can I use the opening segment of Raw as a perfect example?
Sure.
So Rollins comes out, and I got to tell you, I don't want to dump on Seth. I really don't, because I know he's got ability, but come on, man. Like, can we have the fucking chicken shit heel back? I didn't even like the chicken shit heel, but could we have the fucking chicken shit heel back?
I agree 100%.
Dude, you're going to come out and shed a tear because I wanted to be the main event at WrestleMania. Bro, you cashed in your title at WrestleMania and you pinned Roman Reigns and took the title off Brock Lesnar not that freaking long ago. But you don't remember your moments.
You don't remember that.
No one remembers that.
That was way back. You don't remember that.
Right, like nobody remembers that Becky Lynch fucking tapped at the beginning of the Royal Rumble because she won the match and she's the man.
We remembered it.
And she's going to now wrestle Ronda Rousey, who has tapped more women in her career and in her professional MMA career than anybody ever. The girl that's tapped, I'm supposed to be able to buy that she's going to whip her ass now.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
Listen, it's not her fault, and I love Edwards will tell you I love Becky Lynch.
Yes.
When the 4 horsewomen of NXT came out, you and I, fair.
Yep.
There's audio to prove it.
Yep, I'll find it.
Becky Lynch was our choice, and what did you say? She's going to be the first one to get buried.
Yep.
And she got buried for all these years, and now she's out of it. And I don't know how she did it. And let's all be honest. How many times do you see Vince personally wish someone happy birthday on Twitter? Come on, bro. Like, Becky, I love you. Girl, if you're doing your thing, like, I get it. Like, you want to be successful. But let's be honest. Like, I know Charlotte Flair because she's Flair's daughter, and da-da-da-da-da, and Ronda Rousey has a name, and Nia Jax, they try to do the whole fat shaming, but not fat shaming angle, and you have all these hot girls. But how many times do you see Vince McMahon wish somebody happy birthday on Twitter? I mean,
not much.
And I love what she's doing. I really do. But the story doesn't make sense. And that's the problem with everything they do. It doesn't make sense. That's the problem. And Electric City saying, my boy, Steamtown Stunner, you said it. 100 guys signed. They have all these guys. And what do they use? They utilize 5. Braun Strowman's a fucking stepping stone. Let's be honest. He can flip any heavy thing he wants to flip, but he never wins a big match. He gets beat by Seth Rollins. He gets beat by Finn Balor. He gets destroyed by Brock Lesnar. He gets beat by Roman Reigns. So why am I ever going to buy Braun Strowman as a monster? He loses all the time. He fucking loses. He's not Andre the Giant before Hulk Hogan beat him. Before Hulk Hogan beat Andre the Giant, nobody beat Andre the Giant. That's why it was so crazy that Hulk Hogan beat him.
Get these giant hands.
Tell a story. They forgot how to tell a story. But the point being, with all these guys they signed, and I go back to...
I pick things up and put them down.
I go back to a podcast Edwards and I did a long time ago when they cut that deal with Evolve. And I got all emotional cutting that fucking that show, and I was like, this is the end. This is the monopoly. They're going to sign everybody. And it's all over, and WWE is going to be a monopoly and ruining the wrestling business. Not knowing that Cody Rhodes was going to get free, link up with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, and they were going to find a fucking billionaire to back them. And if anybody listened to the Jericho podcast, this isn't like something new. Jericho said with his own words, Tony Khan flew him on his private jet to All In and then flew him to his show that night. This shit's been going on for a long time. Guys like White and everything else, they want to think that this is like half-ass thrown together. But what you have to understand is billionaires don't invest on losses. They invest on winning.
Right.
So do you think they got in with these guys because they think they're going to lose with them? No. That's why AEW is something that wrestling fans that want something different to get into. And the idea that you guys are going to go out there and say, oh, AEW's killing ROH. AEW's killing TNA. AEW's killing New Japan. Half the fucking NXT roster is the ROH roster from 3 years ago. And you're okay. You're okay with them taking every guy from ROH to go to NXT. But when AEW takes guys whose contracts were up and takes them in, guys who got management level positions in the company, like the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, who never once signed a contract with Ring of Honor, which is why they didn't have him as champion for more than a few months, because he wouldn't sign with them, because obviously he had bigger aspirations. You're going to blame AEW for killing ROH? ROH was killed by Vince McMahon and Joe Koff, who doesn't have a fucking clue what he's doing.
Did you say jerk off?
Pretty much.
All right, let me throw some water. Let's cool him down a little bit. We got to cool you down, bro. Before we jump into AEW, we'll take it there because you brought it up. Saint, do you have anything else to discuss with the NXT topic and the developmental?
No, not really, but I would say that it does seem like they have a lot more freedom in NXT, and like once they get under that microscope of being under seeing like with it, like Vince, what he's like, him micromanaging everything, it does seem like they just instantly flounder, like when they get up to that main roster, a lot of them guys.
I'm just not, we're told it's the curtain pulled back and that's what makes it great. I'm just not sure that it matters. I don't know that NXT is relevant to the WWE. I know that sounds crazy because so many people are so hogshit wild over NXT, but if you really watch these guys once they move up and then see where they are and who they are, I don't know that it matters. I don't know that it's helping at all.
I mean, I don't know if you guys watched TakeOver. I did. And all the matches were good. I mean, it's hard to be like super crazy about it because we all know the end result if they go to the main roster. We all know the end result.
That's why I have difficulty watching it.
The odds are terrible. But Shayna Baszler and Bianca Blair, what the fuck's her name? Brianna Blair? Bianca Blair.
Woo!
I always call her Brianna Blair. It's Bianca
Brianna Flair.
So Shayna Baszler, Bianca Blair, NXT Women's Title match. Shayna Baszler kept putting her in her submission finisher, and Bianca Blair kept finding a way to fight through and stand up and slam her and get out of it. She didn't tap. She passed out. She went out on her sword. And I'm like, boom, what a great ending.
Becky.
Perfect storytelling, right?
Right.
But then you watched Raw the night before and watched all the people they're trying to get over tap. Finn tapped. And Becky Lynch tapped. There's so many. Forget Finn for a second. There's so many different ways they could have went with that Becky Lynch story. They could have had a Charlotte Flair run in.
Absolutely,
they could have had a Ronda Rousey run in. Which
they could have got to the same place too. Like Stames said last night. They've 2 months. They could have got Becky where they needed to get Becky. They didn't have to tap her.
They didn't have to tap her. Why not go to a time limit? They did that with Okada and Omega, and it was like fucking amazing.
Yeah,
that was actually the best match they had. In all the matches Okada and Omega had, that was the best one. But nobody goes back to it because it went to a time limit. But listen, it's fucking pro wrestling. You could manipulate the story any way you want to. They do it all the time. They take the title off Daniel Bryan because he hasn't defended in 30 days, and Brock Lesnar's defended it 4 times in 9 years.
Right.
So you can manipulate the story any way you want to.
And sometimes they manipulate it so far that they don't even tell the story.
But
they just scrap it.
The fans are part of the problem.
Absolutely they are.
Because Becky Lynch taps, and we're sitting in a living room, and I'm with 20 guys, and we're like, are you fucking kidding me? They made her tap? And then we're all like, oh, there's no way she's winning a Rumble now, because I had everybody in the room convinced that Becky Lynch was going to win the fucking Royal Rumble and challenge Ronda Rousey and be the main event of WrestleMania, because to me, it still makes the most sense. It's the best main event they could put on if they do it right, and they got off to a bad start. Well, let's say they can move on from that. But the fans, they play off your short-term memory, and most of you out there have short-term memory because you went ballistic when Becky Lynch won the Royal Rumble, and I'm like, yeah, it's really great that you won, and she battled through the knee injury, and the whole time I'm thinking Charlotte should now win this because Becky already fucking tapped tonight. And listen, there's a lot of us out there that have been watching wrestling a long time that are always going to view it that way. We're not 8-year-olds, and we're not fanboys. That's all.
That's all.
And that's pretty much what we said on the show the other night, is that, for those fans to be cheering, you deserve it, you deserve it. It kind of is that millennial mentality that Bobby talked about on the show too. I mean, we're the old school guys. We want to see the wrestler work for it and scrap for it and then finally get there. in that one show, she taps out. She quits. And then 30 minutes later, literally, maybe not literally, but an hour later, she's got the main event at WrestleMania. How does it make any sense? To us, it's never going to make any sense. But yet, to these millennial fans, it's fine because they don't want to work for anything. They just want to be given what they think they have coming to them.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of pro wrestling. If they can, the best way for me as a fan to suspend my disbelief when I see stuff is to be emotionally sucked into it. That I can forget that I'm actually watching pro wrestling and it's scripted and, you know, whatever you want to say. But they killed the emotion there because my age and older, or, you know, and sometimes there you'll find a millennial like the Electric City Saint that will agree. But the emotion there is fight, scrap, claw, and then get the payoff. Well, right. This is just the opposite, and the fans didn't care because it reflects their society and their personal emotion too, and it's backwards from what we think. But say
that would have been like them having the Ultimate Warrior lose going into his match with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Like that, I mean, that's what they did.
Right. Yeah.
But
basically.
The thing that's ridiculous is that we know they can do it because we just talked about, AC mentioned the Daniel Bryan underdog story. They did it right then. They let Daniel Bryan scrap and claw and kick, and he had to win 2 matches that night at Mania, right?
Perfect.
Yes.
They did it that time. Why can't they do it again? What is with these people?
And he
too far and in between.
And he didn't beat any slouches that night when he had to win 2 matches.
No, he didn't.
So
no,
he beat 3/4 of Evolution.
Right, exactly.
It's weird that the way they went about doing all this, because like you guys all said, they still have, you know, basically 2 months before WrestleMania that they still could have worked towards having her get into the fight with Ronda Rousey. I don't think the way that they're going about doing it, it's very odd, honestly. There's many ways they could have went about going about doing that storyline. And back to what something that AC said earlier about Shayna Baszler, bro, she is a fucking badass. That the way that match ended was perfect, and it really helped boost her character.
Perfect.
Because, bro, she is like I said, a legitimate badass. She has 15 MMA pro fights. She fought against Amanda Nunes and Chris Cyborg before, and she held her own against some of them chicks. And some of these chicks are some of the baddest women on the fucking planet, bro.
She's fought as stiff a competition as Ronda's fought.
Yeah, of course. And that's why I think the way that they made that match end at NXT TakeOver was perfect. It felt authentic, it felt organic, and, you know, it made sense for her character because this is like her in real life, basically. Like it's basically like, as Edward says, it's an extension of her real life personality.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Why can't I watch it? I can't bring myself to watch it because I know it's meaningless. How can you guys watch it?
I got to be honest. This is the one. There's 2 things that keep me watching.
Okay.
NXT, and I only watch the takeovers. I don't watch the weekly show.
Okay.
The storyline with Ciampa and Gargano on NXT, tremendous. Like, if you want to go back and go, you'll love it, bro. You'll fucking love it. I mean, I don't know what happens if they go up, if they don't go up. I have my thoughts about whether they should or whether they shouldn't, whatever. All I'm saying is that storyline that's played out over basically 2 years has been tremendous. That and the takeovers are actually good, just pure, like if you didn't watch ROH for 3 weeks and you put on their pay-per-view and you got entertained, the wrestling, that show in and of itself is entertaining.
Yeah, I actually pretty much agree with everything AC just said. That feud was humongous. It was excellent, and it had a very old school blood feud vibe to it, which I think a lot of the feuds that WWE, the main roster, have, they lack that they lack that violence level to it. And I mean, I realize we don't need to have like death matches and everything crazy on Raw. They're not going to do that. But the things that these guys were doing in that feud is that, well, like he said, was absolutely tremendous. It's some very excellent old school quality stuff. And they did really bring that level of violence and that like personal blood feud like element that like I said, I feel like a lot of their feuds on the main roster, they do lack. And I also I kind of feel like, as stupid as it sounds, I actually just generally like the product on NXT better, even though and I think that's the stupid thing. Your developmental program should not be better than your main show, and it's weird that it works out like that. Like it almost like you guys said last night, it almost seems like NXT's presence actually hurts the main product overall, because I think there's a lot of people that might agree with me that they'd rather watch NXT than watch Raw. Because bro, I have not watched Raw probably in about almost a whole year now, and that's a shoot right there. I legitimately have not had any interest in watching it.
General Stames, it sounds like these two guys are okay with staying within the moment of NXT, even though that they know their characters are going to get flushed down the toilet. They just want their good wrestling show. So
I get it.
So what's the matter with me and you that we can't do that? Like, what do you think? Because it sounds like we're missing some good stuff, but on the flip side, it's like, I don't know. I can't flip it on. What do you say?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a me problem, but I can't do it. When I sit there and watch it, it's constantly going through my mind that they're going to have to leave this very shortly, and then they're going to be Mojo Rawley, or they're going to be, Emma, or whatever. I mean, all the other failure stories that have come from NXT up to the WWE.
All right.
Oh, come on, James. You know you loved Emma. Come on, bro.
The one thing about it, though, is with them going to Fox, I guess part of my hope is that Cole and the boys and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are going to sit there and just be NXT stars, and then let them bring through their, Matt Riddles and Keith Lees and Dijaks of the world, who have the size and the athleticism to be on the main roster. Let those guys learn on NXT, but let some of those guys stay down there and be the staples, and let the Ciampas and Garganos of the world and Ricochet, stay down there and be the stars of NXT, who bring along some of those stars that go up to the main roster. I know I'm probably asking for too much, but I think part of me wishes that would happen.
Do you guys believe that some of them guys they should keep down there a lot longer? Because I kind of feel like a lot of the guys, they would have benefited from just leaving them down there and have them, like he just said, be staples of the NXT promotion instead of really rushing to bring them up.
Well,
especially when they know they don't have nothing planned for the people.
That's the thing that I can't wrap my head around, because we shouldn't be hoping for anybody to stay in the developmental territory.
No.
It's backwards thinking, and that's what I meant by is it ruining it?
Is it developmental anymore, though? I mean, the show's going on Fox 1. Is it really developmental? I mean, I just think it's like a third brand. You know what I mean? I know it's supposed to be developmental, but is it though? Like, should they just go away from that being, bring Ohio Valley back and let it be the third brand, and let Ohio Valley and Evolve be the developmental. You know what I'm saying?
In my opinion, it's always going to be developmental if Vince keeps changing things. Like Mojo Rawley, for example. Look, now he's a psychopath talking into a mirror. I mean, who's to say that that's not Tommaso Ciampa in a year and a half? You know what I mean? So then really, it's not even development. You're kind of right in a sense that even though I'm disagreeing with you, he's not developing a character. Because if he comes up, Vince is going to change it. Then
Tommaso's the next Dean Ambrose. Tommaso's the next Dean Ambrose.
Well, he might be.
No, they're teaching him how to play to the right camera and how to wrestle slower. But that's about it. I mean, what else are they teaching him there? And here's what's funny about him. They move him then from NXT up to the main card because, we can't let him down in NXT forever because then that would be getting stale. No, they move him up to the WWE to get stale.
Right. I mean, we could go on and on.
Yeah, we could go back and forth. Yeah.
I got a question for all you guys. I really want to hear your thoughts on this before we cut off.
Good.
There's something that Jericho said in the podcast, and I've always thought that this was a possibility. And I'm not saying that WWE is ever going to do it, but he was talking about having your staple guys, obviously him, Bucks, Joey Janela, the guys they mentioned. I'm sure Omega's going to be one of them, and any other guys you could think of. But he also mentioned having guys that had kind of open contracts where we can use them when we need them, but then they can go back to Ring of Honor or New Japan or TNA or whatever else they're doing, or the Indies.
It sounds like you're describing very closely the 1970s territory system, right? I mean, that's what happened. Guys wrestled in this territory for 4, 5, 6 months. And then once everybody got tired of seeing them, they left there and went down south, and somebody else came up to the East Coast. And they kept on moving like that and evolving like that. And Mr. Fuji was here for a while, and then he was gone for a year and a half, and then he was back again for 6 months or a year.
It makes sense.
Yeah, they certainly have enough people to do that as well. And let's face it, too, it would be a little bit more beneficial to the wrestler's health as well. Instead of, working 340 days a year, basically, if some people did have like scheduled time off here in between, like it would, and they rotated who they had on the roster, I think that would really help rejuvenate a lot of guys. And like AC said, you make it a surprise and have them show up out of nowhere, basically. And that would really get people invested into that character again, because they would basically, they would play on their heartstrings, and like they'd miss seeing that person, and it'd be like a genuine shock that, somebody would show up like that.
Hollywood, whatever happened to that old territory system? I can't remember. Like, why is that stopped?
AEW bought it up.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan ruined it.
What a money mark! Some money mark bought it all up.
Listen, we got some time left. I want to switch gears here. Let's go full bore AEW, and I want to start with Captain of Swag AC. Look, Stames and I. We cut the show on the response video to the guy we won't mention. Shout out, guy. What's up, Trevor Lee? We said some stuff last night. Saint got some say on AEW. Captain of Swag, AC. Let's hear it. The haters. I want to know why. And it's not only Joe White out there on Twitter. Every move, every story, every time Cody and the Bucks open their mouth, every time they show up on an indie the past 2 weeks, whatever the case may be, there's got to be hate about it. Why? What is it?
Well, according to them, them showing up on indies isn't going to stop anytime soon. And, I mean, it just plays into more of the point of how smart they actually are. But anyway, we could argue that another day. Dude, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, why do you care? Like, if you can't stand Cody and the Bucks that much, why do you care? In one hand, you're saying they'll never challenge the machine. They'll never challenge Vince McMahon and the global brand that is the WWE, and they'll never get 1 million people to watch their show. Okay, maybe they won't. Maybe they will. We don't know. We don't even know what their brand is. The idea that you're just going to go, well, All In was this, so it's going to be that. Well, wait a minute. Did Tony Khan back All In? He flew Jericho back and forth. It had nothing to do with it. It was Cody and the Bucks. The fact that they even pulled them off, wouldn't it? Like, let's be honest. If you're really a wrestling fan and you really care about wrestling and you care about the business and how they treat the business and how we're going to do the business, and God forbid we have a dick in the business. I don't like the dick spots as much either, but whatever. What you want to know something? Joey Ryan's fucking over, bro. So whether you like it or not, it's worked for him.
I'm not in the business.
I don't like death matches. I don't like Joey Janela jumping off buildings. Does it make me right or wrong? No. I don't have to go out and watch Joey Janela. But do I have to hate him because of it? No. I hate him because Penelope Ford is hot as fuck and he's dating her, I hate him for that because Penelope Ford is hot as fuck and I think she's really hot. That's why I hate Joey Janela. I don't care if he jumps off a building. I hope he jumps off a building and loses Penelope Ford and I have a chance to date her. But that's all I care about, all right? What the fuck are you guys talking about? You guys are, your head's in the clouds. And we want wrestlers to be creative and we want wrestlers to do this and we love wrestling and we want this. Like Dusty Rhodes wasn't creative. Like Ric Flair wasn't creative. Like Hogan didn't have a say in his character, right? Like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and name all the guys who all had a say in what they were doing. The WWE has literally micromanaged their talent into boredom for anybody who's not 8-year-olds and not a fanboy and not sitting in his goddamn mom's basement playing fucking Fortnite right now, right? That's what they've done. And you have these guys who want to bring something different and try a new way that we don't even really know what it is. And if you listen to the Jericho pod, let's be honest, if you're a wrestling fan and you actually listen to what Jericho had to say and you have a problem with their mission statement, you're the problem. You are the problem. You're the reason. You're the same guy who hates John Cena. You're the same guy who hates Roman Reigns, who hates Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. So who do you like? Who do you want? What do you want in wrestling? Give me. You just don't like anything. You're a miserable human being. That's who you are. And Joe White, bro, honestly, Joe, you fall into that category. You're that category. You're that guy. You are that guy. Don't tell me you want AEW to succeed. You don't, because you shit on everything they're doing. And I'm telling you something right now. There wasn't a fucking person, 2,000 people at the Waterbury Pal in the fucking ghetto of Waterbury, the same city who had 700 cars stolen last year and 29 cars stolen last week. We're in the fucking ghetto with 2,000 people. Cody Rhodes and Hangman Page walked in and the roof blew off the goddamn building. So if you don't think they're relating with wrestling fans who actually like wrestling and spend their money on wrestling, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong. And guess who else was on that show? Badass Billy Gunn. And guess who's hired by AEW? Badass Billy Gunn. And I'll tell you something right now, when it comes to working a crowd, there's not many people better than Badass Billy Gunn. He's very beneficial to them. So how stupid do you guys look? Because you're hiring creative guys from Harvard who don't have a pulse on anybody normal. They're writing, they don't even know what they're writing. And they put a microphone in Ronda Rousey's hand every week, and she stutters and bumbles and looks ridiculous. Why hasn't anybody said, Ronda, stop smiling? You're a badass. You're a badass. Walk to the ring for a fight like a badass. Like a fucking badass.
Is he done? I have heard enough. I've heard enough of this mud pit barroom NEW promotion that he's a fan of, and we know that that's exactly what the product of AEW is going to be, right?
Fits the mold.
And by the way,
it fits the mold.
When Jeff Jarrett, who just got re-signed by WWE, was trying to run stadium shows and getting 50 people, Lombardi was getting 5,000. So tell me these guys at the shows that I go to don't know what they're doing, because they get 5,000 people, not 50.
Outlaw
5,000 people, 3,000 people in high school gyms. What did Cody say? 2,000 people draw in a high school gym. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. And if anybody watched Being the Elite this week, when the Young Bucks went to fucking Defy Wrestling out there, they were marking the fuck out for them. These are the people. These are the people that are going to spend money on AEW. So if you're Joe White and you don't like it, that's cool. But don't go on your show and be like, I want AEW to succeed. No, you don't. No, you don't, because then you're wrong. Because everything you said about them is wrong. So you don't like one guy they book. You don't like Roman Reigns, you still watch the WWE. You don't like John Cena, you still watch the WWE. You don't like Joey Ryan, fuck AEW. Who's the moron?
That was perfect. Saint, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll just go on record and saying I don't understand why why people would despise something that literally has not even happened yet. The promotion, they're basically gonna do like what, 2 pay-per-views before they actually do a TV deal. And I've always said this too. I almost think that a TV deal is not even that important. I mean, look at how much of a success All In was. They made so much money off of that show just by having that on pay-per-view and just by the buys from the people that actually attended it live, and it was a huge success. I think a TV deal isn't, in this day and age, it's not the be-all end-all like as far as having a promotion, but whether it's going to be successful or not. I mean, let's put it this way too. Khan, the owner of this, the investor, he ain't no dummy, bro.
Money Mark, right?
He ain't no dummy. If he didn't think that this stuff was gonna make money, he would not invest into it. And it's funny, like, for him to be labeled as a money mark, bro. It shouldn't matter if he has money or if he don't have a pot to pee in. Like
NFL
the guy,
money mark.
Yeah, soccer. Let me ask you guys this. His father has more money than Vince McMahon can ever dream of. What if Tony Khan's father decides, wow, this is a great investment. Let me back my son in this too.
Oh, forget it.
I mean, what is it, like 20 billion, something like that?
It doesn't matter. He's an NFL money mark. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here's the
owning an NFL franchise makes you stupid, apparently. And Joe White, I mean, it's stupid because he wore a hoodie to a staged contract signing, which readily admitted is staged.
Yep.
He's now a money mark because he wore a sweatshirt to it.
Put a suit on.
I envy you, bro. I want to wear a T-shirt for the rest of my life. If
I know, that's it.
Yep. $100 million in the bank and wear a fucking T-shirt, I would be the most happy guy in the world.
Wait, that dude has FU money, bro. He has FU money that he could wear a T-shirt and a hoodie at a contract signing.
He's laughing at you, bro. He's laughing at you.
You should be happy about AEW just from the aspect of competition, because competition always makes better business for us, we the consumer. Competition will force the WWE to either grow or die. It's the way it works. And here's the proof of it. I just read an article from PW Insider who reported that this week at SmackDown, WWE officials met with all WWE superstars whose contracts are going to expire within the next 2 years to re-sign them to a 5-year deal. Why are they doing that? Because they know that there is someone knocking at the door. Vince McMahon has seen it before. Kevin Owens and The Miz signed 5-year deals because Vince McMahon is afraid of losing them. And I saw a story earlier this week that AEW would be interested in signing Brock Lesnar. You don't think Brock Lesnar would use those guys against Vince McMahon? You're damn right he will. And if he can make more money with AEW, he'll go to AEW.
Brock's going to the highest bidder.
Absolutely.
The WWE.
Listen, Brock versus Jack Swagger in MMA, and then on AEW probably will happen.
There you go.
The WWE.
Sign me up. Go ahead.
As much as Joe White and Jim Cornette and Joe Cornette and all the other Joe Cornette lovers out there go, they can say all they want that AEW isn't going to make a dent. It isn't going to do a thing. But if you look at what the WWE is doing, you can see that's not what they think. Right. They're afraid of this.
Right.
Yep. And this right here, trying to force guys into signing 5-year deals, that's proof of it.
2 quick comments.
Go for it.
What have these guys, meaning the Bucks, Cody, on their own, building their own brands, ever done that they lost that? They've done nothing but advance their brand and made money on themselves. They went in on their own, on themselves, and they won at it. And that's why guys like Tony Khan came after this. And the other part of it is, this is not fucking Dixie Carter. This is Ted Turner. This is not Dixie Carter. It's Ted Turner. It's a difference. It's not Dixie Carter. All you guys out there want to make this out to be Dixie Carter, you're wrong.
100% wrong. Final thoughts, gentlemen. Let's start with the Saint. Anything you want to say, go for it.
Well, I think to quote the classic song by DJ Quick, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And bro, they're making money.
Tony Khan's theme song, bro.
Yep.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I think this stuff is gonna make money no matter what. I think it's all a smart investment, because I think a lot of guys, especially our age, our demographic, we've been looking for this alternative to WWE for quite a while. And I completely agree with everything we just mentioned the last few minutes. I think that competition would really help elevate WWE, because let's look back at the Attitude Era. When they were live on Raw, there was a lot of pressure, and it was a make or break thing that you got to either step up or you're gonna basically go out of business. And I think that really helped elevate a lot of guys to that level of superstardom that, I think they would really benefit a lot of their guys on their roster now to have that sense of urgency. Like, bro, we got to come out here. We got to deliver tonight. We're up against AEW, and they're getting bigger. They're getting like a bigger draw than we are. But I think right now it's just the fact that they don't have that competition. They've become complacent, unfortunately.
General Stames, final thoughts.
Think of it this way. For every fan that is watching Monday Night Raw, there is another fan that stopped watching. And when we think back to the Attitude Era and all the people that were watching the WWE versus the WCW, there were tens of millions of people watching those products. For anyone to think that those people still don't exist is nonsensical. They do exist. Now, you might say, like Joe White might say, but those people have moved on from pro wrestling. They don't like pro wrestling anymore. No, they were forced to move on from pro wrestling because of a shit product that was the only thing that they could possibly watch that had anything to do with pro wrestling. If these guys come back and do it right, they will bring those people back out of the woodwork, just like Vince Russo brought them out of the woodwork back in the days of the Attitude Era.
Ooh, well said, sir. I love it. Final thoughts. The fourth member of the Soldiers of Shoot, Captain of Swag, AC.
We better get your final thoughts on this, because you keep throwing it at us, but I'm sensing you're not throwing your thoughts out there. So I want to hear your thoughts after this. But I'll get into it. To tie this all together and play off what Stames was saying, I think there is a large portion of a wrestling fan base that has nowhere to go. Because I have friends of mine who have a fair amount of money, who can go to shows and, buy networks and do whatever they want, but they don't anymore. But they show up to WrestleMania. I have it's a bunch of guys I know. They go to WrestleMania all the time because it's WrestleMania. And that's what the WWE sells you on. WrestleMania weekend and Royal Rumble weekend and SummerSlam weekend, because we sold out for NXT and we sold out for Mania and we sold out for Raw and we sold out for SmackDown for those weekends. But that's why everything's okay. But as soon as the NFL comes back on and The Walking Dead comes back on and everything else comes back on, and in 2 years from now you're going to have another presidential election, they may fall under 1 million people by then. Who knows? And if AEW is doing anything significant by then, it may be even less, because these guys want to be involved in pro wrestling, but they can't stand what the WWE is doing. But WrestleMania has become the Super Bowl. There's a lot of people that don't watch football day to day that watch the Super Bowl. That's the same thing with WrestleMania. So it's not a barometer of how well the wrestling business is doing. You're buying into bullshit if you believe that. And I'll tell you this right now. The indie scene is not as good as it was 3 or 4 years ago. It's not, because I go and I know and I see it. It's not as good. It's not as good because the WWE raped and pillaged Ring of Honor and all these other small shows, and they had to sell out to New Japan and CMLL, and what they had to do is go out and rape the indies and sign guys to exclusive contracts, which 3 years ago they did not do. There was very few guys in Ring of Honor that had exclusive contracts. They wrestled on Ring of Honor, and then they worked the indies. Now they signed everyone to exclusive contracts. Why? Because the WWE stole all their talent. And if you want to blame AEW for trying to do the same thing, you're fucking lost. Because what AEW is trying to do is give those guys a better option.
My final thoughts on the matter, I'll put it to you this way. If God himself came to me 22 years ago on a Monday night at 11 o'clock after I was done marking out for, Vince Russo and the Attitude Era.
You're talking about Bischoff, right?
Well,
sorry.
Jim
I'm sorry.
Jim Cornette, actually. I was going to joking. If he would have said to me, yo, enjoy this while you can, because you're not going to even be watching wrestling in 4 years. As a matter of fact, in 15 years, you're going to be watching a program called TNA, and they're going to have a bike club, and you're going to mark out for it because you hate WWE. And as a matter of fact, Edwards, in 15 years, you're going to watch this show, and you're going to mark out for it called Lucha Underground. They're going to have guys flying up in the air. It's gonna be so crazy. They're going to have dead guys coming out and fighting people and all that. I'd have been like, you're going to be crazy. And then if he said, wait, that's not all. You're going to go to a show and you're going to meet this guy and you're going to take your buddy down. It's going to be called ROH. You're going to be in the ECW arena, which is going to be closed. I'm going to be like, what are you talking about? And he's going to say, you know what? Then there's going to be in 2019, there's going to be this new company that could come and save it all. And the reason that you're going to be doing this is because everybody watching Raw and Nitro, they're going to go away. I wouldn't believe it. But here we are. So, to Stames' point, we're out here. We're out here. I was the hardcore WWE guy. I was one of those millions. Every week. Get the buddies together. Talk about it for the rest of the week. Get Top Rope newsletter in your email. Because that's all we had was email back then. That was fun. But that's my point. What Stames said, those guys, all those millions of fans, they're still out there. Yes, they're older. They're probably watching more MMA. I mean, talk to any UFC guy. Hey, do you know The Rock? Oh, he was great back in the Attitude Era. Do you watch wrestling? Nope.
Yep.
We're still out here. We're just waiting for an alternative to fly in and give us some competition again.
They got Conor McGregor over.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so happy that you guys came up with this concept and wanted me to be involved, because I think our podcasting over the last year and a half has been kind of inconsistent. And mainly because, let's face it, we started out as wrestling podcasters. We branched off and did other things, but at the end of the day, our main reason for podcasting was pro wrestling. And I think we all fell out of love with pro wrestling because of all the stuff we've been talking about tonight.
Sure. Yep.
And if maybe it's the AEW thing, maybe it's the idea we want to broadcast more. I'll be honest. If AEW wasn't a thing and you guys didn't come up with Soldiers of Shoot, I probably wouldn't even be watching Raw and SmackDown right now. But I want to see it, because when AEW does hit the ground running, I want to hit the ground running as a podcast. I want to be going already. I want us to be going already. I want us to be a fixture for the fans of this show to break it all down for you. Maybe our Soldiers of Shoot shows aren't as negative towards pro wrestling as it is tonight, because it's negative towards the WWE. When AEW hits the ground running, maybe it's a more positive thing, and we could just talk about the storylines and talk about what we like and what we dislike, like when we used to talk about Lucha Underground.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
That was fun, bro.
It was
when
fun.
we talked about Lucha Underground, it was like, what did you like? Oh, yeah, I like that. I didn't like this. Bro, I was so shocked that they did this. It bothered me, but that was great. Right now we're just like, fuck, the WWE sucks, and this is why it sucks. And this is why we stopped podcasting, because it was the same shit every week. We were just banging on the WWE, and it got as repetitive as they got, we got repetitive as a podcast. Maybe we do our thing until then, and as AEW comes along and it develops, and as they do signings and as they do shows and as they prepare for a weekly show and prepare for a TV deal, we have some other stuff to break down. I don't think we should totally be anti-WWE every week. I think we should talk about those things too. And then as it gets forward, maybe it becomes more positive and just like a fun, break it down. What did you like? What did you dislike podcast like we used to do, which I think we were passionate about, and we lost that passion based on just being bored with what was going on in pro wrestling.
General Stames, hit me up with a little bit of that put it down in the comment gimmick that you do. I like how you do that on the close there. Go ahead.
If you're out there and you're listening to us,
There
if
it
this
is.
is the first time that you ever heard the Captain of Swag speak, and you have a comment about that, and I know you do, you either love the guy or you just want to take him and just bury him right down there on that comment section, and he'll reply to that.
I love my
reply to
haters.
that.
I love my haters.
So if you have any comment to make on the show, this is your platform to do that. And we will read the comments, and we will do our best to go ahead and reply to the comments.
Before we get out of here, too, I just want to say I am so glad that AC joined us. This is a shoot right here. Honestly, there's no better people than you three that I would rather go into battle alongside. And that's real life right there. I totally mean that. I think as a unit, I think we all gel together real well, and I think it's great to be talking with all you guys again, because basically, me and AC really haven't been doing much as far as podcasting within the last year, and I know Jeff and Stames, you guys were mainly doing the political podcast, and it's kind of funny how stuff that our buddy Joe White said, or AEW forum. It's funny how all this kind of brought us together.
Your daddy. Very well said. I that's awesome. Electric City. You're gonna
Well, it might have helped if I didn't smash my laptop and a roid rage, which is unproven. I had less picograms than John Jones.
We are soldiers of. Say it with me, guys. Shoo! No one said. Okay. There we go. There we go. I'm sure that's gonna trigger some people from Virginia when they hear it.
Dismissed, maggots!
Succeed the soldiers of